What is going on, everybody? This is Anthony with the I almost said VR game rankings. No, we are VR 365, and this is what I call VR 365 Live. Yes, it is episode 24 of the show. We continue to move along. I mean, I remember we were just on another channel. We've moved over to VR 365. It was maybe a little bit bumpy in the very beginning, but we've kind of settled in and things are kind of settled now, and we continue to move forward. Today is Thursday. It is November 29th, and it is 11 a.m. on the West Coast. And so basically, what did we want to get into today? And one of the things that we're going to discuss today is continued Game of the Year 2018 discussion. Yes, we've gone through January, we've gone through February, we've gone through March. It is time to get into April 2018, and I gotta tell you, April is an interesting month. April is a different month. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit interesting. There's a lot of games in April, some of which I don't think count. They can't count for certain reasons. Some of the games are just kind of duds and they don't really cut the mustard. And I only really have two games that I'm going to be highlighting in the month of April 2018. And we're going to get to that in just a little bit. And in fact, we're not going to wait too long for this because we got a lot to go through and get into with April 2018, so we're going to get into that pretty quick. But what I wanted to do before we jump into that is, why don't we take a look at the number one news story of the day? And the number one news story of the day, Borderlands 2. Yes, yesterday it was the number one news story as well, for a completely different reason. The reason it was in the news yesterday, the bundle. There is going to be a new PlayStation VR bundle that will be available on December 14th, which is the launch date of Borderlands 2 VR. We heard about the Borderlands 2 VR Beat Saber bundle. It does sound pretty good. And remember, that launch date is December 14th. And a lot of people have been wondering, well, hey, is this going to come to PC VR platforms? Well, we got some information yesterday that is very much related to this. In fact, we've got a trailer that I'm going to throw on the screen. Now, this is an incredibly short trailer. It's like 15 seconds, so I'm probably going to go ahead and run this trailer 2 times because it is that short. So let me go ahead and grab this trailer and we can go ahead and check it out. This is a brand new Borderlands trailer, Live the Game, for PlayStation VR. This was on the PlayStation Europe YouTube channel. Let's go ahead and check this one out.
Live for the hunt, fight for the loot in Borderlands 2 VR. And immerse yourself in over 200 games and experiences. Live the game. PlayStation VR for the players. Live for the hunt, fight for the loot in Borderlands 2 VR. And immerse yourself in over 200 games and experiences. Live the game. PlayStation VR for the players. Live for the hunt.
Alrighty, so yeah, that is the trailer that hit yesterday, and there's a very interesting thing that is at the very bottom of the screen in fine print. It says Borderlands 2 VR is exclusive to PSVR for a minimum of 5 months from launch. Now, what exactly does this mean? Well, basically, we know that this is at least a 5-month exclusive. Now, it might be longer than 5 months, but we know that the minimum is 5 months. And if we switch over here to our web browser window, we switch to Upload VR, it says Borderlands 2 VR could come to Rift and Vive in 2019. And if you do the math, May 15th is the earliest possible arrival date for Borderlands 2 VR to land on the Oculus Store, to land on Steam, to be available potentially to Windows mixed reality headsets. So we're looking at probably late May, possibly June, for Borderlands 2 to hit VR platforms on the PC. So that is some good news for people that are a little bit disappointed that they don't have the opportunity to play Borderlands 2 right away. Of course, all of us that have jumped on the PlayStation VR bandwagon, we are hyped because it is simply a matter of weeks and we are going to be in Borderlands 2. And actually watching this trailer and just looking at the cel-shaded graphics and looking kind of how this game looks, it looks cool. It looks fun. Looking at the enemies and everything, I think this is going to be super cool in VR. I know there are a number of people out there that are very disappointed that there is no multiplayer capabilities in Borderlands 2 VR. I'm good with that. Of course, I'm not really the multiplayer guy, so not that big of a deal as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so why don't I go ahead and take a look at chat and see what some people are talking about here. I'm going to scroll back a little bit. Paradise Decay says, I have Anthony on 2x speed now. Yeah, there's a lot of talk about how slowly I talk or some of this stuff. I can say in regards to how slowly I talk, some of it is deliberate. Sometimes I do it because I'm trying to think, okay, what am I talking about next? Let me give myself a second to think about that. I'll slow down. But, you know, I don't know. I just think some of these kids are a little bit too impatient. I am Ruts. Yeah, the impatient. I am Ruts says, why is Anthony talking so slow? LOL, just kidding. Yeah, so anyways, that's kind of what we're talking about here. And John Bardo says maybe a Quest launch title. That's possible. I mean, technically, yeah, technically that would be possible. And Scion VR says, if it is teleport only for motion touch controllers like I have heard, then I have no interest in it. You know, that's weird. I have heard a little bit of chatter about that, and I thought originally it was confirmed that there would be kind of a free locomotion kind of a mode. And I've played so many PSVR games now where they do have some kind of free locomotion, and it operates in the way I always thought it would work, which is you take a move controller, you aim it in a certain direction, you hit a little button, you move forward. I mean, how hard is that? You take one of those little buttons moves you forward, one of those little buttons moves you backwards, you take your move controller, you aim it in whatever direction you want to go, you hit the button. I mean, is this a complicated thing? No, it's not complicated. It's easy as pie. We've seen it done in the Solus project. We've seen it done in Skyrim VR. I believe they do it in Home Sweet Home and a whole bunch of other games that aren't coming to mind right now. And I thought that that was confirmed that was going to happen, but I don't know. And now I've been hearing some other talk as well, so it's a little bit questionable there in terms of like this teleport thing. I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'll have to see what happens as we get a little further along. Okay, so the Borderlands 2 thing, that is the big news here, coming probably to PC VR in very late spring, early summer, most likely, although we really don't know absolutely for sure. Okay, so now I want to go ahead and pivot, and I want to get into the Game of the Year discussion, and that way we can take as much time as we want with the Game of the Year discussion today, which we're going to be covering April 2018. And then when we're done with that, we can bounce back, we can look at news, we can maybe check out some new trailers, some things like that. But let's go ahead and get into April 2019 first. And of course, before we get into April 2019, we have to kind of do a recap. Where are we at in the Game of the Year discussion? And so let's take a look at March real quick, because the last thing that we were talking about was March. And what are the biggest VR games of March 2018? And we said that Apex Construct on March 20th, one of the biggest VR games out there. Of course, it arrived on PSVR on March 20th. Catan VR arrived on March 22nd on the Oculus Store for the Oculus Rift, and I believe it was also available for the Oculus Go very quickly as well. Catan VR in March of 2018, and Wipeout VR. Of course, Wipeout Omega Collection, which arrived on March 28th. So those were the three big ones, in my opinion, when it came to March 2018. So doing a little bit of recap on that. Okay, the next thing we want to do is, what are the best games of the month for the first 3 months? Let's do a quick recap on that. Quick recap. Best VR game of the month for 2018. January is Primordian, and February is In Death, and March, of course, is Wipeout VR. So no major shockers there. Those are the best VR games of the month for 2018 so far. Okay, now let's go ahead and get in the April discussion. And why don't we start it off? Let's see here. I have a breakdown of some of the things I wanted to get into here with my April discussion. Let's see here. Let me go ahead and all files. Okay. Let's see here. So the first thing I want to do is, why don't we talk about some April releases, April 2018 releases that don't count. They don't count. As big as they are, as huge as they are, they don't count. Now, what am I talking about? Trying to get this on the screen here. Okay. Oops, no, that's the wrong one. Okay, one more second here. Where are my April releases that don't count? And oh, you know what? I forgot to render this. So I'm going to have to open this as an image, and I don't have it as the right sized image. But what I'll do here is, let's go to our tweet window. No, that's not going to work. Let's go to full screen, our full. Damn it, I screwed it all up, folks. I forgot to render my breakdown. Oh man, I can't believe I did this. Okay, so two of the games that came out in April 2019 or April 2018 that I think don't count, one of them is Skyrim VR. Let me go ahead and change the trailer on here. Yeah, so Skyrim VR basically arrived back on April 2nd of 2018, Skyrim VR. But the problem is, Skyrim VR was available on PlayStation VR the year before. It came out on PlayStation VR, I believe, November of, let me get my chart up here, November 17th, I believe. Man, I am completely discombobulated because I forgot to render out a couple of little things that I made here. Okay, yeah, so Skyrim VR arrived on April 2nd. It originally hit PlayStation VR on November 17th of 2017. So it's my personal belief that Skyrim VR does not count towards Game of the Year. Now, there may be some discussions out there where they believe that Skyrim VR does count for this year, but I don't believe it does. I don't believe Skyrim VR counts. And Crisis, and then the next one is Psychonauts Rhombus of Ruin. Psychonauts Rhombus of Ruin arrived on April 19th, 2018 to PC VR, but it actually originally arrived on PlayStation VR back on February 1st, 2017. And I actually have a Psychonauts trailer that is at the ready. I can go ahead and throw that on real quick while we're mentioning it. But yeah, these games have already been available. And so when I'm talking about the Game of the Year 2018, I'm talking about games that arrived in 2018. Games that were played for the first time in VR in 2018. Now you might say, wait a minute, Anthony, wait a minute. You just said Wipeout VR was your game of the month, and Wipeout Omega Collection was available for a long time before we got the VR version. Okay, well, I'm talking about VR. Okay, the game could have been available a long time ago, and if VR came in 2018, then I believe it qualifies. But when we're talking about Skyrim VR, It was a huge game. 2017, it was in the running for Game of the Year, the VR Game of the Year for 2017. In fact, it won Game of the Year for 2017 by a number of outlets. Had Skyrim VR as the game of the Game of the Year for that outlet. So it does not count for 2018. I don't care that a lot of you guys have put hundreds and hundreds of hours into Skyrim VR this year, playing it on your Oculus Rifts, playing it on your HTC Vive. I know that maybe it's the most impactful game for you personally in the year 2018. It might be your game of the year for 2018, but I don't think it counts because it hit PlayStation VR last year. So that's my thought on Skyrim. And it's the same with Psychonauts and the Rhombus of Ruin. Not that Psychonauts would really be competing for Game of the Year, but it could deserve maybe to be mentioned. But it was available back on February 21st, 2017, so it doesn't count. Okay, then we go to PlayStation VR. A whole bunch of PlayStation VR games came out in April, including Rick and Morty, which came out on April 10th. Operation Warcade came out on April 11th. Just in Time Incorporated came out on April 24th. And Dead Secret also came out on April 24th. And all of those are new arrivals to PlayStation VR. The problem is they've all been available previously on PC VR. For example, Rick and Morty, that was 4/20 of 2017. It came out on April 20th of 2017. Operation Warcade came out back on June 7th of 2017. Just in Time Incorporated, July 27th of 2017 on PC VR. And Dead Secret goes all the way back to 2016. It's been available for a hell of a years. And so that all of these arrived on PlayStation VR in the month of April 2018, but none of them count because they've already been available. So that's 6 games that are wiped off the docket. None of those 6 games are going to factor in. Now, I also have a couple of games that I think are kind of cool, but they don't cut the mustard. And I had these nice graphics that I developed for this, and I unfortunately forgot to render it as a video thing, and I could get it up on here, but it would take too long and it's not worth it. Okay, so one of the games that maybe doesn't cut the mustard, or maybe it does, this is Farhome right here. We're looking at the trailer for Farhome, and this arrived back on April 5th by DevCube Studio. Now, I've heard good things about Farhome. I've heard good, I've heard bad. Well, no, I haven't really heard bad. I've heard some good things, but not a ton of good things. So I've never played Farhome, so I can't really make a comment towards Farhome. But I'm curious about you guys in chat. Have you guys played Farhome? Do you believe Farhome should be one of the games that is considered in the month of April 2018? If you really feel strongly about it, I may go ahead and add this one to our group. Right now I have 2 games for April of 2018. Farhome is not one of them. But again, if you guys really, really feel strongly about it, I can maybe go ahead and add that in. It looks pretty good. I mean, looking at this trailer, it looks actually pretty freaking cool. I know this game is selling for $29.99. It is not cheap. In fact, why don't we go ahead and check out the Steam page for Farhome real quick. Hold on one second here. I do not have this prepared here. Let's see, Farhome Steam. We'll see if we can, yeah, so this is going for $29.99. It is not cheap. Not a lot of reviews, you know, and the reviews are mixed. There's only 18 reviews. This launched back on April 5th. The developer is DevCube Studio. Publisher is DevCube Studio. Pretty decent little logo right here. $30, not exactly cheap. You look at some of the screenshots, it looks pretty freaking cool. Like, this looks cool. It looks like it's a game that I would like to be into. You know, it looks, a lot of people say, I believe they think this reminds them of Farpoint, maybe reminds some people of Seeking Dawn a little bit. Has a little bit of a Primordian-ish look as well, to some degrees, in terms of like the aliens and stuff that you're fighting. But yeah, it definitely does look quite a bit like Farpoint and Farhome, you know, such a very similar name. And I believe it's Arthan's VR, the guy behind Arthan's VR. I believe he was a big fan of Farhome and thought it was underrated and thought that it deserved a lot more pub than it got. But I don't have it on my charts because I just don't know about it. Like, and then also the reviews are mixed. I think if this really deserved to be considered among the best games of April 2018, it probably wouldn't have mixed reviews. It'd probably be positive at the very least, or maybe mostly positive. It wouldn't be mixed in my opinion. So I have a feeling that there's probably some jank that comes along with this game, or maybe, I don't know, other little issues with it. And then also the price, you know, the $30 price, it's a bit high. And I don't think there's ever been a very aggressive sale for Farhome. But I'm curious about you guys. Okay, so Chris, he says, I tried Farhome. It was really bad. I had to refund it. Okay, so that pretty much ends it right there. So I guess we do not have to worry about Farhome. So no need to worry about that. But a couple of other games that did come out in April of 2018 that I don't think cut the mustard either, and I had a nice little graphic for this, so just try to imagine it, is Crisis on the Planet of the Apes, which that arrived on April 2nd by Imaginati and Foxnet VR Studio. I never played Crisis on the Planet of the Apes. Let's go ahead and check out the Steam page, though. We might as well, right? Let me get that up here. Crisis on the Planet of the Apes. We can check out the Steam page and see what the reviews are for this. Are the reviews like mostly positive, mixed, etc.? And see, here's another mixed one. Okay, Crisis on the Planet of the Apes VR. I like the logo. That logo is pretty nice. But the reviews are mixed. 33 reviews. This launched on April 2nd, 2018. Developer Imaginati, publisher Foxnet VR Studios. You can grab this for 15 bucks. I know it is a relatively short experience. Like, I think this only lasts for a couple of hours, like maybe 2 hours at the max. So Crisis of the Planet of the Apes didn't quite make our ranking. What is another one that released in the month of April that kind of doesn't quite make the ranking, and that is Island Time VR. So this is another April release, and you can see, look, mixed reviews. You're probably not going to make VR Game of the Year discussion if you have mixed reviews. Island Time VR by Flight School Studio, mixed reviews. It's also available for 15 bucks. Now, I did play this. I did get a key for this. Full disclosure, and this is the game where you have Carl the Crab. He is voiced by Greg Miller of Kinda Funny fame, and this game is halfway decent. Like, I had some mild entertainment with this game. It wasn't all bad. Like I kind of have slightly positive feelings about this game, but this is not a game I would champion. So this game does not enter the mix as far as I'm concerned. Now, what does enter the mix? And we can go ahead and go back over here. Let me go ahead and grab a trailer. So the two games that I believe are to be considered for April 2018, one of them is Rolling Line by Gage Punk Games. Gage Punk Games. This released on April 27th. Rolling Line is kind of a model train simulator. Looks super cool. Really like this trailer. I've never played this game. I don't have personal experience with this game, but from what I understand, this is a pretty awesome game, and this should get a little bit of recognition as a release that has arrived in April 2018. So I will go ahead and give some love to Rolling Line, which launched on April 27th. And let's go ahead and check out the Steam page for Rolling Line. Let's go ahead and see what kind of reviews it has over there. What kind of price is it going for and all of that. Rolling Line. Okay, so Rolling Line is only $17. Not too bad, but yeah, look at these reviews. This is a big difference when we're talking about reviews. Very positive. Those are the recent reviews. All reviews, very positive. That is strong. That is very strong. And the release date is April 27th. Gauge Punk Games, I'm guessing Gauge Punk Games is probably how it's pronounced, right? 17 bucks for the price there, not too bad. And this is one of these games, if you were a little kid and you and your dad, you had model trains and you had a big table and you set up model trains and you had little hills and you had little tiny trees and you had little tiny people and you had your little model trains going around and around and you were really into model trains, this probably sparks a tremendous amount of nostalgic feelings for you. And it's funny because my dad, we did have model trains like this. I played around with it a little bit, but I didn't get into it super deep. And we weren't super hardcore about it. But I know that there's people that were super hardcore about this. Making the tracks, making bridges and stuff, and having all your little trees and your little bushes and the little city that you would have on a table laid out. And that's really what Rolling Line is all about. It's kind of giving you that feeling again of having model trains. And I think you can zoom in on it. In fact, you can actually physically be on the train and ride on the trains through your tracks. You can create your own tracks. Lots of cool stuff that you can do here. That is Rolling Line on Steam. Again, like I said, I have never played this game, but it is considered, here's the video right here. Here's the trailer. Looks pretty cool. You can set up your tracks, guide it along. Rolling Line, it is available right now on HTC Vive, Oculus Rift. Of course, it's on Steam. It's probably on the Oculus Store as well. And it's available for 17 bucks. And pretty cool looking game. That is one of our games for April 2018. What is the other game for April 2018? And this is the one that I can rant and rave on. This is the one that I have a personal experience with this. In fact, if you guys go back to the days when I did the old daily vlog live, I actually stopped doing my daily vlog live for a couple of weeks, and I thought that I wasn't going to do it anymore. I've had a bunch of drama actually on this channel. Those of you that have been with me for the longest time, you'll know that I've had some drama on this channel where I thought, okay, that's the end, guys. It was fun while it lasted, but I'm not doing this anymore. Goodbye. And then I went away for 2 weeks, and then I came back. Hey, I'm back. I did a number of those things over the course of a couple of years or however long I've been doing this. A number of drama situations have popped up. And I was off for a couple weeks. I wasn't doing this show. I thought I had stopped doing this show. But you know what? Time Carnage came out. And I played Time Carnage and I was like, man, I love Time Carnage. I really like this game. I think this game is crazy underrated. I think people don't understand this game. And I did a special episode on Time Carnage that was basically 100% about Time Carnage. So if you do a search on YouTube for Time Carnage VR game rankings, you'll probably find that episode where I spent about 20 minutes or whatever just ranting and raving about how underrated I think Time Carnage is. And Time Carnage arrived on April 10th. This is definitely one of the games of April 2018 in my opinion. Now, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to say, Time Carnage? Really? This is just a crappy-ass wave shooter. This is a wavy-ass wave shooter. I don't what redeeming qualities does this have? This looks like Brookhaven Experiment. It's not even original. Not only that, but you're freaking stuck to this one little spot. You don't even move around. There isn't even node-based teleportation. How could you be hyped on Time Carnage? Are you smoking crack? Did Wells Interactive send you a check for a couple $100s so you would be super hyped on Time Carnage? Why are you so hyped on Time Carnage? This makes no logical sense. Well, I'm going to go ahead and break it down for you guys real simple style. Okay, so here's the thing about Time Carnage. When you get into this game, when you first start out, you're on this circular platform. Okay, you're on a circular platform. You see that guy right there? See the circular platform. If you see it down, when you look down, there's a circular platform that you're on. Now, you don't physically transfer through time. You don't teleport through time, but your circular platform does. it transfers through time and it gets you into these different time zones, and you have shields. You can see there are shields that are surrounding this circular platform. It is protecting you from the enemies and the creatures of this different time period. Now, when these enemies get really close to you, they start damaging your shields, and eventually your shields will completely wear down and you will take real damage and you will die. But the thing about it is the idea of the game, it's all coherent, it all works. And so you're on this circular platform, and that is why you're rooted to this circular platform. But the game isn't good because you're on a circular platform and because part of the story is built into the gameplay. That's a nice bonus, but it's not good for that reason. It's good because you have these 4 pedestals that are placed in front of you. And the 4 pedestals allow you to grab weapons and allow you to change weapons and reload your weapons. And that is the magical part of this game. I played this game predominantly on my PlayStation VR, but I felt like I was in a room scale experience. I really felt like I was in room scale. And the reason why is because I was rooted to this circular space. I had these platforms here and I was reaching out. You know, I was grabbing this gun, grabbing that gun. Oh no, my guns are out of bullets. I need to put this gun back and let it recharge. Now I have this gun. Now I put this gun back. Now I grab that gun. Oh, they're both recharged. I'm grabbing both of them. Oh, I need to switch to a long range weapon. Okay, now I have a grenade launcher. Oh, now I need the sniper rifle because I got to get this guy that's damaging me from hella far away. It was the gameplay, man. It put you in that space. It made you feel like you're there because you're constantly grabbing things, constantly manipulating things, and you're on this circular platform. And the visuals and the monsters and the dinosaurs and everything that battles you, I thought the graphics were pretty damn good. I thought it put you into this jungle environment. It put you into this Jurassic environment. There's a lot of different backdrops. There's different time zones. You deal with these robots. It's got some cool ass Tron-like music that's playing in the background, kind of ding, ding, ding. You know, all the little music that's going on in the different time eras I felt was done really, really well. I'm kind of out on an island with this game because I know there's people that tried it and they still think, Anthony, I heard everything you said about Time Carnage. I still believe you are high as F. You have some high-grade crack cocaine and you enjoyed the hell out of it, and then you decided to make a video about Time Carnage. There's people that still believe that I am off on an island, but I am adamant in my own belief that this is one of the most underrated VR games out there. It's written off because it is a wavy ass wave shooter. It is a wave shooter. You don't move anywhere. There's no movement. You're stuck in one spot. You're just shooting shit, but you have these platforms. I feel like you're there. That is my thoughts on Time Carnage. So it is definitely one of the games that I'm thinking about for April 2018. Okay, let's see what people are talking about. I'm going to go back a ways here and see what some people are talking about. So going way back to Island Time VR, Airman929565 says Island Time VR is the daily deal on Oculus. Are you talking about today? Like, what a random coinkadinky. That is kind of crazy. Paradise Decay says Island Time was funny. Yeah, you know, Island Time is a decent game. It's a decent game, but when we get into talking about the games of the year for 2018, if you're a decent game, you know, we might mention you, but that's about it. So I don't think Island Time should be included, but yeah, it is. It's a decent game. I Am Rhett says, if you paid money for Island Time, would you have good things to say, Anthony? That's a good question. That is a legitimate, real question right there. If I had to pay the $15, would I still really like Island Time VR? Well, I'd probably, honestly, I would be like, okay, it's a decent game, but I was never telling anybody to run out and buy Island Time VR. Like, I was not super hyped on Island Time VR. I was happy with it. I thought it was okay. So I think I would feel okay about it. I wouldn't be ranting and raving about it. I wouldn't be ranting about it like Time Carnage, but I would still feel pretty good about it. Paradise Decay says Rolling Line was very cool and it's still getting new content and updates. And then Fluke says, reminds me, what happened to Derail Valley? Yeah, I know we've had some trailers on Derail Valley. I don't know what's going on with that game. Let's see what else people are talking about. Gamer Casual is checking in. Hey, Anthony, loving the new show and channel. Between you and Roundtable, I have learned so many new games coming out. Now I just need my Odyssey Plus to come in the mail and I will be set. It's always nice to have somebody new in chat. So Gamer Casual, nice to see you in chat. Awesome. Paradise Decay says, Time Carnage is great, but Rolling Line is far better in my honest opinion. And that's why we have opinions. Opinions are like bleeps. Everybody has them. Yes, opinions are the cheapest commodities. But you know what? I get up here on my soapbox and I throw my opinion out there and I give you my take. That's my take. Let's see what else other people are talking about. I Am Rhett says, my favorite episode, the episode Anthony let us know what he thought about Uplay. So good. Okay, yeah, that was an old episode from a way back. And I'm just trying to see if there's any more talk about Island Time, Time Carnage, or any of the games that we're mentioning here. Okay, Paradise says, Time Carnage is good, but it's done and dusted. Rolling Line is superb, memory-inducing, and still getting new content. So Rolling Line is the game of April for me, no contest. And, you know, I would agree with you, Paradise, maybe if I've played Rolling Line, which I haven't. And T-Dub says, sorry, has Anthony said something since Skyrim does not count? Where did I put my beta blockers? In all fairness, I've not tried the other titles you've shortlisted. Yeah, Skyrim doesn't count. It came out, it was in the running for Game of the Year 2017, for VR Game of the Year 2017. Main Fan says, I've never tried Time Carnage unless it had a demo. And no, I don't believe it had a demo. And Anthony is to Time Carnage what Sebastian is to Samsung. That is Paradise Decay again. And opinions are like elbows, says Charles Van Nolan. Okay, so I am caught back up. So yeah, so those are the games that I wanted to highlight for April 2018. Unfortunately, I forgot to render like 3 different little things that were going to appear on the screen that would make everything look a little bit better. I don't know what I was thinking, just completely slipped my mind. But the 2 games that I am going to nominate, Time Carnage on April 10th, Rolling Line on April 27th, and honestly, April 2018, kind of lame. Kind of a lame month. Now, Skyrim is not lame by any stretch of the imagination, but Skyrim is really a 2017 VR game in my personal opinion. If you guys vehemently disagree on this, you can go ahead and leave a comment after the show. We can talk about it then. And so that's going to go ahead and do it for April 2018. And one thing I can say, man, is May is prime time. There are a lot of big games, I think, in the month of May. So we might have to use 2 shows on the month of May. Paradise says, you should play Rolling Line. I'd be very interested to see what you think. Yeah, it's hard. And Paradise, I know you know how hard this is, that we constantly move forward, man. It's all about Squishies. Squishies is a brand new game. It's not about Rolling Line. It's an old game. So I'm probably not going to be playing Rolling Line anytime in the near future. Unless Gauge Punk Games, if you guys want to shoot me an email at info@vrgamerankings.com, shoot me a code. Maybe I will check it out real quick. It'd be nice to check it out prior to the Game of the Year awards. It would be nice. I'm definitely going to give it some respect, though, because I know I haven't played everything, but I still got to give these other games respect. And then somebody asked a long time ago, well, Ryan Haley is asking, how would Rolling Line be for kids? I would imagine it's probably a little bit too complicated for kids, but I'm just guessing. But Paradise can probably speak to that better. But Island Time VR actually probably would be kind of decent for kids, and I think they would like Carl the Crab, voiced by Greg Miller. Greg Miller can be a bit annoying when you see him on Kinda Funny and stuff like that, but I think he did a pretty damn good job for Island Time VR. I thought it was pretty good for Island Time VR. Okay, so that will end our Game of the Year discussion for April 2018. And why don't we go ahead and check on the news? Okay, let me go ahead. I have not prepared the different websites up on here. Upload VR. Let's go ahead and check out what Upload VR has going on. So Upload VR is talking about Shadow Legend, a story-driven VR RPG about the medieval crusades. So there's probably a new trailer for that. Occipital's 399 structure core senses depth for new device categories. That's a mouthful. Not sure what's going on about that. Chained, a Victorian Nightmare is VR's take on A Christmas Carol. So it looks like we have a couple of new trailers that are going on. High-flying VR shooter Skyfront gets full release date. Now, this is a game that's been available in early access, right? See, I don't get caught up in like coming out of early access. Like, I know a lot of people make these such a big deal about coming out of early access. It's kind of like grand opening number 2. People forget about it. When these games first go into early access, they make a big deal about it going into early access. It's like, hey, this game is available. It's in early access. You can play it right now. We are willing to take your money. Give us your money. We will take it. It is now in early access. And then when it finally comes out of early access, it's like, hey, it never was in early access before. Forget about all of that. This is the grand opening. Now it is available. Now you should talk about Skyfront because it has a full legit release date. So it's kind of like 2 grand openings. I don't buy into it. This game, okay, so it'll be launching its full version on December 20th. The developer confirmed today. It launched in early access late last year. So this is a 2017 game. Look, I'm happy that it's coming out of early access, and hopefully the full version will be more dialed in and a little bit better and stuff. But I don't get caught up. It's an early access game. Don't get caught up in it, folks, because a lot of times the improvements are marginal. Okay, new VR app celebrates the work of Claude Monet. And Borderlands 2 VR will have smooth locomotion with PS Move controllers. Okay, so maybe the puzzle has been solved. Let's go ahead and click on this because we were hearing some conflicting information about this. I swore that I heard from the very beginning that there would be smooth locomotion, but then we had other people crying about how there isn't. So let's see what's going on here. However, there have been some concerns. Obviously, the most obvious concern is the lack of any of the post-launch DLC and the absence of multiplayer, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, we know about that. Okay, thankfully, as of today, we have new details about the movement options. Previously, it seemed like smooth movement would only be possible on DualShock 4 as seen in this video, but as it turns out, according to the official Borderlands Twitter account, you will in fact be able to do teleport movement, direct motion, or smooth movement, or a combination of the two with both the DualShock 4 and PS Move configurations. So that is awesome. So we will have smooth movement in Borderlands 2 VR. I mean, it's not that shocking. You know, you simply take your Move controller, you aim it where you want to go, you hit a button, you move forward. I mean, I thought we've solved this. This is what Skyrim uses, Solus Project, Home Sweet Home. There's a whole lot of PSVR games that have figured this out. I talked about this like years ago. I remember I was in a discussion with Steve Bishop. Where is Steve Bishop in chat? Because we had this discussion years ago about PlayStation VR, and he basically felt like PlayStation VR would never be able to do smooth locomotion. And I was like, Steve, bro. So this is Nostradamus Jr. reporting in again. I was like, Steve, dude, just take the controller, aim it where you want to go, and hit a button. Problem solved. And I know Steve's argument, to be fair, Steve's argument was, well, yeah, but then you're sacrificing one of your hands. Or if, let's say you're using your left hand and you're moving forward with your left hand because you're hitting a button to move forward with your left hand, well, you're not going to be able to, at the same time, block with your shield or, you know, shoot an arrow or whatever. You're going to have to stop and then shoot an arrow. And it's like, yeah, that's true. But is that big of a deal? I'd rather have the smooth locomotion. If I have to stop every once in a while to do my arrow or pop my shield up or whatever it happens to be. I mean, boo-hoo is me. It's not that big of a deal. I'd rather have the smooth locomotion. So I felt like this was always a solved problem. Does it have some unfortunate side effects because of PSVR's limited tracking and the crappy move controllers that we're stuck with? Absolutely. It absolutely does. And so there are some limitations to that. Okay, so that's pretty much the Borderlands 2 VR news. Okay, the U.S. Army has chosen Microsoft's HoloLens for a $480 million contract. I wonder if this is going to be HoloLens 2.0, or is it HoloLens 1.0? So the United States Army has awarded $480 million to Microsoft that will help equip military personnel with prototype versions of HoloLens intended to increase lethality, mobility, and situational awareness. HoloLens is an all-in-one augmented reality headset for $3,000, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I wonder if this is going to be HoloLens 2.0. I really hope it is, because I really want HoloLens 2.0 to like finally, get out there into the open, because I think it's also going to help from a standpoint of Windows Mixed Reality 2.0 having improved inside-out tracking, because I fully expect HoloLens is going to have improved inside-out tracking for the new version of HoloLens. And just seeing if anything else is going on here, that's pretty much all the stories that we're bouncing on over here at Upload VR. Okay, let me go ahead and switch back over to chat. Let's see what some of the people are talking about here. A little back in discussion about like the Vive and Odyssey. Jay Pace says Borderlands 2 VR needs free locomotion, and if it's teleportation only, I will boycott it. Tezram says smooth movement is such a weak term. What does it even mean other than smooth movement? Well, it's kind of nice that it means that. Yeah, we don't have a proper phrase. Like sometimes I call it go anywhere locomotion, smooth locomotion, free locomotion, and what we're talking about when it's almost like if all of these VR devices had a joystick, we'd probably say joystick-based locomotion, because it's locomotion where you push forward, you go forward. You push back on the joystick, you go back. Sometimes if you push left, you'll shuffle to the left. You push right, you shuffle to the right. You strafe left, straight right. It is basically joystick-based locomotion. But yeah, we don't have a good term for it, really. I have to admit that. Let's see. And we're talking about God rays and some stuff like that. We're talking about Sebastian killing his headsets due to sweat. And Tezram says, great, now the U.S. military can play Tetris while they're bored. Paul Smith says, I didn't like smooth locomotion on Skyrim because you can't run back while firing forwards with your left hand. Okay, are you talking about on PlayStation VR or on the Oculus and Steam version of Skyrim VR? But yeah, that's the thing. If you bake in the locomotion with the trackpad, then if you're using one of your hands to locomote, it does make it kind of difficult to be moving in the right direction and shooting an arrow or whatever as well. It does make it a little bit more complicated. And so that is pretty much that. Just seeing if there's anything else to get into in chat. That's pretty much it. Okay, what we could do real quick is we could check out some of the subreddits here. Man, I don't have my subreddits open up. I really need to actually prepare for my shows in advance, maybe. That would help. But you know what? Preparation is overrated. That's what I like to say. Okay, I am switching to the old version. Visit old Reddit because I am an old man, and an old man needs old Reddit. Okay, let's see what some of the top stories are here on the Vive subreddit. Here's a report. Acer could sell or disband Star VR soon. This is a Road to VR story. Let's go ahead and click on this because I haven't heard too much about this. Okay, Star VR Corporation and Acer and Starbreeze partnership behind the wide field of view headset Star VR 1 could be on the ropes. Oh my goodness. after its delisting from the Taipei Stock Exchange earlier this month. Digitimes reports that Acer, which has a 63% majority stakeholder in the company, has given StarVR 3 months to turn profitable. That's not enough time. What's going on here? And Sweden-based company Starbreeze, which currently owns a 33% interest in StarVR, says that stakeholders will meet next month to decide whether StarVR Corporation should cease to be a public company. Okay, this is drama. So I guess our dream of getting the StarVR 1 headset, which appears to be the best VR headset out there, period, like the best that money can buy right now. We're talking about really high resolution displays, 90 hertz refresh rate, 210 degree field of view. I do remember the video that Sebastian MRTV did on the StarVR 1 headset. He was talking about how amazing it was. You're looking up, you're looking down, you're looking left, you're looking right. It's field of view everywhere. It looks absolutely drop dead gorgeous. And then we found out that they were asking for applications from developers to grab the $3,200 headset. In fact, our own MAME fan, he sent in his own application, basically not really hoping to develop, but hoping to get his hands on a $3,200 headset, because you know what? If this is your hobby, if you are all in, baby, on the VR hobby, and you just want the best headset, you don't give a damn. If it works for Steam, if you can play Windlands 2 with your StarVR 1 headset, if you can play Transference, not Transference, as I've been saying wrong for about 10 months, or actually even longer than that, over a year, I've been saying Transference. No, Transference. That is the way it's pronounced. But you could play these games potentially on StarVR 1, and they could be improved by default. So why not kick out $3,200 to get one of these headsets? But I don't know. It might be looking all bad. Maybe no one is going to get their hands on these headsets, or maybe you know, kind of a little serendipity here. Maybe they made like a couple thousand of these headsets, and if the company goes out of business, they're going to have to sell these things off in a fire sale. And maybe there might be a couple of lucky people out there that grab these headsets for about $1,500 because everything's just being liquidated out of the company. That's how I got an HD TV way back in the year of our Lord 1999. There was a company called Unity Motion. This is way back in 1999. No one had HD TVs at this time. You would go to a TV store. They had an HD TV that was there, but it was like 10 grand. It was only for the rich and famous. Nobody had HD TVs, but there was a company called Unity Motion. Their whole idea was they were going to put a satellite up there, and they were going to film stuff in high definition, and they were going to sell you a satellite dish and a receiver to use for your incredibly expensive HD TV. And they had a special package that gave you the satellite dish, the receiver, and an HD TV for about $6,000 or $7,000. That company went out of business. It was liquidated, and I got my very first HD TV for $800 in the year 1999. Now, $800 might still sound like a hell of a lot of money to you, but I can guarantee you, man, people were coming over to my house in 1999. They saw this HD TV that I had, and they thought I hit the frickin' lottery, because they're like, how the hell do you have a freaking HD TV? Oh my God, these things are $10,000. At high-end electronic stores, they were just starting to hit the market. It was brand new. It was a brand new thing, and I watched the very first Super Bowl in high definition. It was the Tennessee Titans, Steve McNair. You know, they missed out on that Super Bowl win. It was Kurt Warner, the St. Louis Rams, not the LA Rams, St. Louis Rams. I watched the first Super Bowl in high definition. So why am I telling this whole long story? I'm telling it because if StarVR, if they do go out of business, there's a possibility if they have a lot of these StarVR 1 headsets floating around, they will be sold off in a fire sale of liquidating assets. and somebody might be able to score, but you're probably going to have to live in Sweden to take advantage of that deal. That is the deal with Star VR 1. Alrighty, folks. Well, we've been going for pretty close to an hour here, and I'm going to go ahead and call it like an alcoholic. Let me go ahead and get into my standard scene here and switch to my little outro logo, and we will call it a show. All right, where are we? There we are. Okay, so that's going to go ahead and do it for today's show. Apologies for a bit of a discombobulated show. I have to admit, when I realized that I had all these different things that I forgot to render, and I was going to go to them and put them on the screen and talk about the kind of crappy games of the month of April and all of that. I had all these graphics made and I forgot to render them. And it kind of discombobulated me, so kind of screwed up the whole episode. My apologies for that. But you know what? Tried to make the best of it, so hopefully halfway decent episode notwithstanding. All right, well, that's going to do it. Tomorrow is Friday, and I should be back at 11 a.m. Pacific time on Friday for another episode of the show. Not sure if we'll get into the games of May. We might actually need 2 episodes to go over the games of May. I think it's a pretty heavy month. It's a pretty banger of a month in terms of VR games that came out in May of 2018. So maybe we'll start the process tomorrow. Maybe not. Maybe we'll get into a lot of news. Maybe we'll be covering a lot of trailers. Who knows? You got to tune in tomorrow to check that out. Once again, go ahead and subscribe to our channel, like the video, and leave a comment after the show is over. You know what? Really awesome job, guys. You have been leaving a lot of comments, and that has helped out in a major, major way. In fact, you know what? I forgot to read comments today, but maybe on tomorrow's episode, we can double up, or I can take the cream of the crop in terms of the best comments and cover some of that. So we could probably do that tomorrow on Friday's episode. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and bounce out of here, and hopefully I will get out of here and not leave the show streaming for an additional lengthy period of time. But that's going to go ahead and do it. See everybody tomorrow. Take it easy. Later.